Welcome to Millionaire Agents Secrets, uncovering the hidden gems to help you become the next $1 million agent. And here's your host, Milton Player.
Welcome to Millionaire Agents Secrets. I'm your host, Milton Player, and today we have investor extraordinaire Duncan Buchanan. How are you, Duncan?
Well, thanks, Milton, and hello to everyone who is watching and listening to this podcast.
Have I got the surname right? Is it Buchanan or Buchanan?
It's Buchanan, but you did a good job.
I had a feeling there. All right, mate. Sorry about that.
All good.
So I suppose give me a 90-second wrap about yourself so everyone can hear what you're all about.
90-second wrap is I set up a investment education company about 15 years ago. I grew up in a place where there wasn't a lot of information on money. Parents were very debt averse. I joined the military. I served in the army as an army officer for nearly 18 years and started my investing in that place. And I guess that over the time, I always found there are a lot of people who are quite fearful about investing into real estate or understanding how to grow their wealth. And I honestly believe I'm put on this planet to provide that financial investment education and really help raise the what I call the financial IQ bar, so everyone has a better crack at living the life that they really deserve.
Okay, that's interesting. Whereabouts are you based, mate?
I live on the Sunshine Coast, north of Brisbane, and probably not a day goes by that I pinch myself and think what a beautiful part of the world to live in.
It is, isn't it? It's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful place. There's a great real estate agent there, Jodie Curran. Do you know her, agent?
I do. Not. We've met once or twice. I don't have a lot to deal with Jodie, but she's certainly kicking a lot of goals up on the north side of the sunny coast.
Yeah, she is, isn't she? All right. So with you, I suppose, do you have a lot of investment properties yourself?
Yeah. So look, I started the investing property journey, like I said, whilst I was still serving in the military. And maybe like some people, it started with buying my own home. And then as I was posted to different parts, we kept the property and that became an investment property almost by accident. I guess as my wife and I got a little bit more educated, we took our portfolio. I think the maximum properties we had was about 14 properties. I've done subdivisions, small developments. I've owned houses, townhouses, apartments, done new constructions, done joint ventures. So certainly had a lot of exposure to doing a lot of different real estate deals in a lot of different entities, own names, company and trust structures, self-managed super funds. So it's been a great ride, I've got to tell you that.
I bet it has. No, definitely. So being in the military, did you buy a lot of the Defence Force type houses?
No, I definitely didn't buy Defence Force type houses at all. Bought run of the mill, if you like. I know DHA properties are great to live in. They are not ones that I recommend to my clients as an investments.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with you. So what areas did you end up buying most of your properties in?
Oh, look, I haven't bought in one particular area. I am a big advocate of you buy the type of property that you buy is based on the result or the investment strategy that you want to achieve. So when I'm looking at, say, medium-term holds, I don't really hold property for too long. I think the longest time I've ever owned a piece of real estate was maybe 12 years was the longest one. But looking at market cycles. So I look at every capital city in Australia, regional areas, and understand the market cycles, the demographics, the population, the economy that drives that area. And so I don't focus in one particular area. I've owned real estate in every state in the country apart from Tasmania.
Right. So your strategy, I'm assuming, is you're buying at the low part of the cycle and then selling once you believe it's peaking. Is that how you do?
Well, if you just do a buy and hold, then yeah, if I was using a buy and hold strategy, then you would look at doing that. I mean, it's pretty difficult sometimes to know exactly when the bottom and the top of the market is, but as you get more experienced, you know what the what I call the combat indicators are. So if I was using a buy and hold strategy, I would do that. But you're definitely able to make money in real estate in any part of the market cycle, whether it's going up, down, or sideways. You might then want to use something else like subdivisions or renovations, or you might do small developments. And for some of those, you can make a profit regardless of where the market cycle is.
Yeah, no, exactly. So from your purchasing endeavors, do you have a certain way of working with agents? Have you got certain agents that are on your side that keep a lookout for you? Have you got a way that you negotiate with them?
Yeah, so if I choose, or if I'm at a place where the particular strategy that I'm at, I need to engage a real estate agent to assist in the research. Then there will be certain, again, because I don't focus in one specific area, I'll definitely do a ring around. I'll talk to agents and give them specific criteria of the types of property that I'm looking for. I will let them know the result that I'm trying to achieve from that property, and build a relationship with those agents. And I guess I engage, or I speak to probably at least half a dozen, if not more. In my experience, the good agents come to the top, and they work hard and deserve every dollar in commission they get, and the average ones will fall by the wayside when the going gets tough.
You know, that's for sure. What do you notice with agents? What do you pick up the best ones do? Do you notice anything differently that they do to the others that stands out to you?
Well, look, a good agent. So when you look at sales, an agent understandably is going to be representing the seller more opposed to than the buyer.
Yeah.
But it's not about win-lose. So I find that a good agent understands the importance of a win-win relationship and asks questions and goes that extra mile to be proactive in finding solutions where there are problems, rather than simply throwing out, there is a problem here and someone else has to sort it out. So that's probably the big difference. Good agents ask questions.
Yeah.
And good agents actually care about both parties.
Yes, very well said. With all your investments that you've done, what would you say is your best success story?
Probably the largest. There's so many ways I could answer that. Success is also learnings. I mean, I've learnt so much stuff along the way. So some of the biggest successes I've had may not have been the most financially rewarding ones at the time, but the lessons and learnings from that have been phenomenal. From a pure financial perspective, the biggest result was a purchase in Darwin. Before the market kicked off, that was in fact the property that we bought, own or occupy, using the homeowners grant, stamp duty exemptions. So we're able to get into it at a little out of pocket, if you like, and held that puppy for a while. That was something that we held for nearly 10 years.
Right.
And that property had more than tripled in value by the time that we sold it. So that was a great result, understanding the market, we did a private sale, we've engaged agents, and that returned close to well over $500,000 profit.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. When you go to sell, I noticed you said that you did a private sale on that one. Do you use agents a lot when you sell the properties?
Yeah, look, I really do. I mean, that was a one-off. There was only a handful of times that I've coordinated the sale myself, but in sales, I do absolutely engage agents. And again, what I look for in sales agents are ones that will think outside the box.
Right.
Having worked with agents I currently have real estate in Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland. There's a few little deals happening over in WA, but in those three main states, every state has a different rule and regulation as far as sales contracts go. I like working with agents who think outside the box, that don't just go, look, the standard New South Wales terms or standard Queensland terms is X, and that's all I'm going to do. I love working with agents who I can incentivize, and I will pay an agent more in a commission if they set targets and we agree to target. And again, I will take on agents where, you know, they're prepared to put some skin in the game for marketing or advertising, rather than just coming back to the seller saying, you cover all my costs and I'm just going to, you know, do a couple of open homes.
Yeah.
I find that's really lazy.
Uh-huh.
So they never get my business.
Yeah, I don't blame you. What do you reckon is the best strategy you've seen an agent employ in all your time?
Oh, look, probably the more creative, the better, I reckon. And in this fast-paced market where so much in the economy is changing, real estate agents, you know, until it becomes a little bit more of a licensed and regulated industry, probably get away with more than a lot of the, let's call it, the other players in the financial market. A good agent, what I've seen is they've been proactive and incentivized pricing brackets. So they will set a commission structure that will vary around the more they sell the property, the more they will actually get in commission. I've seen them come up with some very creative advertising strategies on that. And look, probably one of the more successful ones I've seen agents do is, again, it's all about the power of leverage. So I've worked with agents to incentivize the local neighbours, so people within surrounding streets, to actually go out and find buyers and offer them a cut of the sale proceeds. So you then get another whole range of a referral network of people in the surrounding streets, knowing that, hey, if I just send someone and they do a sale, I'm going to get a cut of the deal. And that has massively increased the visibility of the property and the flow and impact. As you would appreciate, high visibility, you'll start attracting people, that buyers that will come in when they may not have been ready to buy in the first place.
Yeah. So it's quite clever, isn't it? Incentivize. So they go to the neighbours and offer them. Do they offer them a certain cut of the commission if the person that they contact buys it, or do they offer them just a money reward or something like that?
Both. I've seen both. If it was me, I'd actually just make it a not a financial reward, as in a cut of commission. It would actually be something that was fixed and tangible. For example, we'll give you a $1,000 voucher or gift card to something specific. So they know that if I refer someone and they actually go through the property, I'm going to have this fixed amount regardless of what the property sells for.
Right. Okay. No, that sounds good. And very interesting. And with buying, is there anything unusual? I think you noticed a few things about ads, didn't you? Some quite creative ads you said. So what were they?
Well, I think that when you're looking at writing ads, when it comes to sales, and I think every agent or any agent that is listening to this podcast would appreciate that the role in sales in real estate is you're not selling a property. You're selling an emotion. Your experience is buying something to live in. Someone is something as an investment, and either way, they're looking to get an experience and a result from it. So when ads are written and you understand your target market, if a property is great for owner-occupiers, you write the ad that appeals to an owner-occupier. Standard generic ads of, this is a lovely 3-bedroom house in a quiet street and its features are 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. I mean, that doesn't sell squat. That's just really lazy, boring advertising. You need to appeal to the emotion of your target and really niche in your ad. Don't try and be a generic ad and cover everyone. Be really, really specific. Who is your ideal buyer? And if you write an ad for your ideal buyer, in my experience, the ideal buyer turns up very quickly.
Yeah, no, it's good. And with the ones that you've held, is the Darwin one of the few ones? Is it mostly that you're you're buying and selling? Are you buying, doing them up and selling? Is that the strategy? I'm trying to get in touch with what your exact strategy is that you mainly use. Or is it a gamut of different things?
Milton, it really is a gamut of different things. I am not a believer in that, some of the rolled out industry, there is use this strategy and you'll be right. I think that's a complete crock.
Yep.
I've been teaching and working with clients in the investment space for a decade and a half. And one thing that I am passionate about is all strategies work, but not for every single person at every single stage in your life. So at sometimes you will take one particular real estate strategy. Sometimes you will use a different strategy. So depending on the individual, depending on the risk tolerance, their financial profile, but also the result and the time frame that they want to take. And for me, I've used buy and holds. I did a buy and hold in Darwin. I've done a buy and hold in Melbourne. So I still own a little apartment just out in St Kilda, just near Elwood. That again, that was bought down at the bottom end of the market, and it's still a little bit flat right now, but that's definitely a great owner occupier, even investor asset. So I will hold on to that for a bit longer. Whereas other properties, I will buy low in the bottom part of the market. As the market moves, I'll get rid of it. I will do a renovation and get rid of it. I don't like holding on to assets for too long. I like to try and recycle that equity and that profit within anywhere from a 6 months to a maybe 2 or 3 year time frame.
So how long have you personally been doing it for now, where it's actually meant that that's your full-time career besides teaching?
Yeah, well, look, the assets that I have, I guess, right now gives me the lifestyle that we enjoy. My full-time gig is actually really the education and training side now. I spend more time in that space than I do looking after all of the properties. They pretty much take care of themselves. I've got a great team that provides me all of the reporting and the data and the stats, and I review that once a quarter, every quarter, and then make decisions from there. I have JV partners that we will come up with. It's they're all good. They're all good, Milton.
Yeah.
They all keep ticking along. So I still use different strategies for sure right now.
And what you were mentioning that you'd had a lot of great lessons. Can you tell me some of those?
Sure. So some of the lessons that I've learned over the years was when I first started getting to the investing space, I didn't really understand how finance worked.
Right.
I was kind of, went to a bank and, you need 20% deposit and I kind of blindly just bumbled along with that. And I was getting pretty frustrated to the point where I actually wanted to learn how the finance industry works. So I went and became a qualified mortgage broker just so I could write my own loans. I didn't set up business. I just wrote my own deals for my own properties.
Nice.
But in the military, word gets out and a couple of mates said, can you give me a hand? And within a short space of time, I ended up running a national mortgage broking business, which was 100% word of mouth, which I ran and owned for a couple of years before I realized I never wanted to be a mortgage broker. So I sold it. But I think the biggest lessons that I've learnt in the past, the first one is you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yep.
So when people try and buy a property to live in or for investment purposes, you try and go cheap and nasty, that's exactly what you get. If you skimp and save on quality agents, on quality brokers, on even paying just to educate yourself, if you're not prepared to invest in yourself,
yep.
And if you're not prepared to invest a couple of $100 or a few $1,000s in your own financial education, how the hell are you going to purchase a property worth $500,000 or more? It just doesn't make any sense. So that has been a massive lesson. The other lesson that I've seen other people experience, they've gone into partnerships with, family members or friends and have tried to put together property deals with family members or friends pretty much on a word and a handshake, because they're my family, they'll be all right, they're my best mate, they'll look after me. And in fact, I just released a blog to my crew this morning, and I actually spoke about money magnifies the soul. And sometimes money's weird. You start bringing wealth and money into the equation and people start doing some funny things. So I've said to people, if ever you go into a partnership with your parents, your children, your siblings, your best mate, always have something in writing as to the result that you want to get, who's responsible for what, because as sure as God made little green apples, something will go pear-shaped somewhere. And unless you've got something in writing, it just becomes messy.
Yeah, well, there's actually a movie called War Dogs. Have you seen that? Just out recently, where
I haven't.
And it was a true story, based on true story, where it was a partnership and they were actually buying and selling guns in America. And he had something signed halfway through, put it in his drawer, went overseas to organise the deal. And his mate, all he had to do is just take the piece of paper out and burn it, and just completely ruined his life. They both ended up in jail, actually, caught by the CIA. But also what you were saying before, they say successful people value time way more than money. So they're happy to invest a lot of money on learning things, so they save themselves time, where the people that aren't successful tend to try and save money by putting way too much time into things. And so they don't learn how to leverage, and they end up doing nothing and procrastinating it to the nth degree and get nowhere. Yes. That's amazing, isn't it? The mindset of people.
Oh, look, 100%. And look, when you're starting out, and this is why for agents, it's really, again, a good agent for me, and the agents that I select are agents that understand this mentality. So if we've done a property deal where the target market is first home buyers, for example, then the emotion to those first home buyers is they do want to look at saving money, and they will spend more time in trying to get their money down. If I'm doing JVs and small developments where a target market are investors that want to have one or more investments, they're going to value their time more. Yes, they still value money, but they will spend money over making sure that they get their time back. So as if you understand that paradigm, especially as an agent, you can position your product, you can position the sale, you can position yourself based on the fact that some people will value time over money and vice versa. Neither is right or wrong. It's just where they're at in their lives. And if you can engage them at that point, you're guaranteed again to make a success.
Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that an agent's done in a listing that's blown you away? Or do you feel that most of them pretty much do the same things or are similar? Has anyone ever stood out?
I think most of them are quite similar. And I guess for me, because I've had properties bought and sold in many different states, I'm not looking at agents that I'm constantly going back doing multiple transactions with, but agents that have stood out from a positive perspective are always ones that, and the classic sales quote, they will underpromise and overdeliver.
Yep.
They will say, you know what, I've actually got a couple of people on my database that I reckon will fit this property, and they actually do. And I think the fastest sale I had was when I got signed off with an agent that said, yep, this is all yours, because they said, I reckon I've got some great clients on my database that'll meet that. And within 48 hours, there was a signed contract by both parties. Whereas the flip side, again, I've had the unfortunate experience of dealing with agents who, again, will not walk their talk. And I don't know whether it's a fear of being honest, but they will try and play themselves up that they play at a bigger game. They don't deliver, and then kind of a very stunned and surprised when you walk away and take your business somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess the summary of that is the agents that have always stood out for me are ones that are honest, the ones that are authentic, and the ones that understand the buyer's needs and the seller's needs and respect them both.
Yeah, that sounds good. Going back to mindset. So, I mean, obviously you've had to learn a lot of things, way to think, way to react, how to recover, resilience. Any great lessons there? Anything that you can help that will help people in their real estate world, in the sales world?
Look, for agents in the sales world, some of the biggest lessons I've learnt, and I've studied a lot in that mindset. I'm a master NLP practitioner. I've got international qualifications from over in the States, and I still teach a lot of that now. I think the biggest things that I've learnt from a mindset perspective in sales is if you understand your purpose and you're authentic, and when you connect with someone, you ask questions. You don't talk. You shut the hell up and just ask questions and let people respond. If you connect with someone from a heart space, from a real, genuine, authentic place, I have found sales come, and you've got to learn to let it go. If you're focusing on the dollar, I haven't hit those targets, or I've really got to try and force this one extra sale to get a bonus or whatever it is, then people can smell that. They run away consciously or unconsciously. The human subconscious is designed to, the good old saying, like attracts like. You can feel energy, and whether you're conscious or unconscious about that, if you believe you've had a great meeting with someone because you've talked a lot, you've done everything, that's probably not the connection that they want. So I think the biggest lessons I've had in sales is be true to yourself, be authentic to yourself, say what you mean, and if you come from the right place, have faith. And I'll tell you, those opportunities start popping up without you realising it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Nothing beats listening skills, does it? Perception. You can't influence unless you can listen.
That's right, Milton.
With NLP, what do you like? What parts do you like the most? Is it metacognition? Is it submodalities? Is it mirroring? Is it modeling? Where do you find for you the most useful part of it is? Because it has got a lot to it, and it is a great subject to tap, isn't it?
It is. And look, I teach a lot of NLP training for salespeople in the finance industry, sometimes in the real estate market, especially real estate agents and mortgage brokers. I work a lot on authentic sales from an NLP perspective. And the answer is, the biggest thing I find is language. There are, there's lots of things to do with body language, tonality, eyes, pitch, timbre in your voice. The biggest thing I find, and it goes back to asking questions and then listening, is language. What people say. There's a lot of generalizations and distortions that people come up with, and their map of the world may be different from yours. Their map of the world will be based on perceptions and beliefs that they've picked up in the past, their own baggage.
Yep.
If you listen to the words that they use and you paraphrase and you help chunk down and get specifics about it and remove generalizations and distortions, language is such a powerful way to connect with someone. So that would be my biggest one, Milton, language.
Yeah, look, I 100% agree. I notice a lot, even with the sales agents that we work with and teach as well. I'm constantly having to correct phrases that they're using, ways they're saying things, oversaying things. And also, what I notice a lot about people is they'll be listening to someone in a conversation and they'll know what they want to say. So they forget or they don't listen anymore to the person and they cut them off. How can you influence a person when you're cutting them off to say what you want to say? It's like, well, mate, I don't know what goes on, but it's that nervous energy, I suppose, that just interrupts their patterns of getting it right. It's like limiting beliefs or hitting at them at once, and it just all bursts out in those times of high drama and high stress. Do you see that yourself?
Oh, absolutely. You get to a point where you can so much want to either help someone that you go into fix-it mode, and it then becomes, without someone realizing it, it actually becomes ego-driven and selfish because you're making the meeting about you. You want to say, I can fix that, and I can deliver, I can sell you this great product, and this is absolutely perfect for you for these reasons, without actually, again, shutting the hell up and listening to someone else talk. And mate, as I'm sure you do, those pregnant pauses when you ask the question and it's uncomfortable silence.
Yeah.
That's gold.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That is gold.
We were talking today about habits and how many people don't understand how to correct their habits. People try to change. You notice it with eating, don't you? People go on these diets all the time. First 3 letters of diet is obvious to us, but they keep doing it, and then all they do is keep churning in circles like that mouse on the wheel, and go back. And if anything, they put more weight on because they starve themselves so much during that time that when it comes to cake, they go crazy. But people do that with their own mind, and the bad habits just come across from people. And they're saying that there's really 3 things that you need to watch, and that's the cue, the routine, and then the reward that you get from the habit. Are you tapping into that yourself, stopping the bad habits, turning them into good habits, things like that? Have you ever gone down in that area? It was just something we were tapping into today ourselves.
Yeah, look, habits are huge. I think the saying is it takes 21 days to create a new habit. And I think what a lot of people forget is that's actually 21 consecutive days, not 21 days interspersed over a whole year.
Yeah.
You've actually got to do it day in, day out. Habits is huge. And I think the biggest driver, even from a coaching, a coaching with my coaching hat on, for people to change their habit, it comes back to why. And if the why's not there, if they don't understand the purpose behind it, then you can force yourself to try and change your habit. If you don't understand the reason why you're doing it, it will never be a sustainable habit. You may not last. It's so good to have a goal, to have a target, to have a reason behind why you would want to change your habit. But most importantly, also understand the flip side of it. What would happen if I don't change this habit? So a lot of people, when they look at habits, looking at, you use the example of diet. So let's talk about eating healthy. I need to eat better. So two things go off the rails when people were looking at habits. Firstly, it's too general. I need to eat better. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
It's generalization. You've got to be absolutely specific. I want to have 5 small meals a day, no more than, 2,000 calories, whatever it's going to be. You've got to be really specific on what that habit is that you want to achieve. And then you're asking yourself, okay, if I don't change, what's going to happen if I don't change? And once you can start drilling down what will happen if you do nothing versus what are the opportunities that you have if you do something, it allows people, I believe, to have a different frame of reference around the habit, and it comes back to that why. The why is reinforced because they're looking at a towards goal as well as an away from goal. And some people are motivated by what I want to get. Most people are more motivated by what they want to avoid.
Yeah, no, I like it. Very good.
The problem with habits is a lot of people look at what I want to get if I change my habit. And they neglect that 85% of the population in the world are driven by what happens if I don't change my habit. So they're focusing on where they want to get, but they should be looking back and going, shit, if I don't change this eating pattern, if I don't be more present with my clients when I'm presenting property, then what's going to happen? I'm not going to make any sales. I'm going to lose my job. But most importantly, I'm not going to have an income to allow myself to support my family and have a lifestyle doing what I want to love doing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like seeing what the negative reward and positive reward is. So what you think you're getting a reward psychologically, but you don't realize what you're actually going to cost you. It's like I heard the American military, one of the things they did in Iraq is that they with riots, there used to be a whole heap of riots that used to happen in Iraq, and they'd go into these certain stadiums to do it, and they were watching them and following their habits, trying to work out the habits of these people. It would start with a small crowd, then it would build up, and then they'd have supporters come because they'd build a supporter network. Then spectators would come, and it would take hours and hours and hours before it got to a stage where the riot would start. And so what they ended up doing is they noticed, well, because it goes for so long, they have to eat. So they got the mayor of the area to remove all the food trucks. So all of a sudden there was no food. So they were all getting hungry. And so people would start dissipating. They'd start leaving. So, all the followers would go, the supporters would go. And it came down to only the 45 main rioters that were left. And now they didn't have the people. So, they couldn't do anything. And they stopped rioting in Iraq just because of that similar thing to what you're saying. They took away the cues, they took away the routines, and they took away the reward. And so there was nothing left there, and they had no power. So very interesting. But listening to you is extremely interesting. I'm wondering, as you're talking, what motivates you?
Look, what motivates me, I balance, I'm more of a towards person as opposed to an away from person. I definitely use both though. Whilst I'm predominantly looking at what do I want to achieve. And for me, my two passions are my family and travel. I like getting out about and experiencing different things in this world. And if I can't, then I really want to make sure that I have the ability that I can go to my kids' school parade. I can coach the local footy team. I can be involved with community and with family. So they're my big motivators.
I thought you said family and trouble.
No, travel.
I was going to say, you're a character. I was just thinking, I think maybe mine is family in trouble.
No,
travel. That's why I was laughing.
Travel, yeah. So family and travel. So I guess I'm far more motivated about the experiences that I want to achieve and the things that are possible more so than the things I'm going to miss out on.
Yeah.
However, I do look at if something doesn't change, then this experience may not be possible. And that'll drive me a little bit more. But I guess the more you get experience and the more you understand about how the mind works, then it all comes back to what you focus on. So that's why I don't focus or dwell too much on the pain or the moving away from, because I want to put my energy into what's out there and the positiveness. However, I think that anyone that says only focus on the positive is ignorant, because they don't understand the polarity of the human body. You can't have positive without negative. They are there. They're going to exist. So acknowledge it and harness it to help you rather than ignore it so it hinders you.
Yeah, exactly right. Probability thinking, which is massively important to get anywhere in a successful life or a successful world. So do you have mentors that you've enjoyed, coaches, mentors yourself?
Yeah, look, I think over the years, they've definitely been coaches and mentors in my life that have helped adjust my mindset, that have given me experiences both in the finance and investing world, probably more so in the personal development world, but especially also in the business and entrepreneurial world. So yes, I have had ones. I think the people that have had the most impact, it's always, again, it's hard to say the people that had the most impact, because if most impact is defined by the most amount of change, well, that's when you come from a place of you're not very aware to all of a sudden you have a massive awakening. Yeah. That large growth. But sometimes some of the really small changes can also have a massive impact on you. So look, I've done some of the stuff with Tony Robbins, but I definitely don't put him up there as the be all and end all. I think the things for me is having gone through my own study of human psychology, and I'm still an avid learner in that space of understanding about psychology, emotions, and mental state. And I was fortunate to do a lot of my NLP training through the gentleman that actually helped coach Tony Robbins.
Nice.
So he lives over in the States, lives in Portland, Oregon, an amazing man. And the more you delve into that space and then you practice it every day, you know, I get to have some great conversations with my kids. It's kind of cool.
So, and what's the name of that guy or girl?
The guy's called Steve Linder.
Steve Linder.
So he flies under the microscope. You might be able to find him online, but he runs a group called SRI University. And that is very high level in the mental NLP world. He's literally a world leader in the space. He would be a huge person that I've learnt a lot from. But honestly, you know, mentors and coaches are anyone I believe that you're willing to listen to. And if they resonate with you, you know, they're a mentor.
Yeah.
I don't think that the day of the 100 years ago it was the one person that you could say that, you know, that person was my coach, that person was my mentor. I think these days with so much information out there, everyone's a mentor.
Yeah.
You just need to decide who resonates with you, who do you feel right with, who sits in your heart, and that'll change as you evolve. You'll go, that person served me really well in this moment for that purpose. It's time for me to move on to someone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you have 2 children?
I do.
Boy and a girl?
I do. I'm lucky. I got a pigeon pair. My son's 12 and my daughter's just turned 11.
I was going to tell you that. I was trying to practice mentalism.
Awesome.
So I got the first 2. I would have got the third. Maybe.
Good man.
So books, have you any books that have really stood out for you, that if you had to give a book to someone, is there any books that you would choose?
Books that I have given to people in the past have been The Success Principles by Jack Canfield.
Right.
There is The Thresholds of the Mind by Bill Harris. Bill Harris is, again, one of the international leaders in mind space psychology and brainwave patterning.
Right.
He's one of the first people to actually put out the little it started with cassette tapes and then CDs that would take your mind through different alpha, theta and beta patterning, so you were able to have different neuron connections in your brain whilst you meditated, for example. So those 2 books in particular are quite good. Most recently, biography, Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Yeah, very good guy.
Worth a read. Look, and as well as some of the golden oldies, you know, things like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
It should be a mandatory read for any salesperson.
Definitely.
And Good Old Think and Grow Rich.
Again,
that's also a good read.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to. I didn't realize Elon had a biography out, so I've missed that. I'll have to make sure I get that. He's an amazing person. So I'm glad I asked you. So how do you market yourself?
How do I market myself? Well, a lot of the marketing I've done and still do is word of mouth. You know, thankfully you get great results from people, and they're only too happy to spread the word. And because I guess that has been a main driver for so long, I don't spend as much time as I probably should on social media. But there is the world of social media. I think the biggest leverage for me, as I said right at the start, I believe that I was put on this planet to educate and empower other people in that finance and money space, because there is so much. People would admit there's a lot of baggage, and people will fail to admit there's a lot of baggage, and I see that all the time. I love working with partners. I love networking with strategic alliances and coming into a another business or another organization and saying, you know what, how can I help your clients, your salespeople, your customers enjoy the experience more, and understand that the money transaction, be it real estate, be it a cup of soup, is about experience. It's not the money that people want, it's the experience that they think money is going to provide. So networking and hanging out with like-minded people, Milton, that's where I think you know, all of us that play this game, we know that.
Yeah.
You need to hang out. You need to hang out with people that will help you continue to be the better person.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's definitely the way to go. So you normally hold a few courses every year or monthly thing? What's your setup for people that are interested?
Yeah, so look, we run some. I run some online webinars, and they're just great free training that occurs a couple of times a month. We'll do live sessions predominantly in southeast Queensland at the moment. We've been asked to head down to both Sydney and Melbourne to probably do some gigs down there. Okay, but primarily to get started. A lot of people can, they just jump onto the website, just duncanbuchanan.com. Pretty simple. Yeah. There's stuff on there that they can, access and utilize, Milton. But it's really about understanding if you want to play at that bigger game in that finance and investing space. Real estate for me has been a core component of that. I put my wealth creation. Sorry, I won't say wealth creation. My creation of equity. So big chunks of cash comes from real estate. Yeah, I don't know of any better leveraged product that works to that space, and then you can play with other areas for other parts of where you want to go in life.
No, it sounds good. All right. Well, before we wrap up, one more question I might ask you if that's okay. What's the funniest thing that's happened to you in your career?
Oh, the funniest thing. Oh, crikey, mate. That's, geez. That's a great question. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to me? I reckon one of the funniest / embarrassing, I think, I would put up there is, it's funny you mentioned Iraq. I served in Iraq with the US Marines back in 2003. And one of the experiences I had was I had to brief a certain set of colonels about an operation that was planning in the future. And I'd spent all this time preparing it. And I went into this tent and I shook everyone's hand, and I'm getting into this briefing and, I'm making a couple of Aussie jokes because I'm the only Australian. Like, it's just full of US Marines and British personnel. So I'm just, carrying on. And after about 15 minutes, I had all these blank looks. I realized I was in the wrong briefing room.
Oh, no.
It was hilarious. Well, I thought it was hilarious.
Nightmarish.
It was, but I couldn't stop laughing. I just thought it was so funny.
Good rehearsal.
It was a great rehearsal, but none of them, they were all just too polite to say anything. Oh, dude, that was one of the most embarrassing / funny moments ever.
Yeah, it would have been a wild one. They would have been laughing at that for hours after, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But mate, there's so many. There's so many I can see. Now you've opened it, my mind's going, there's this, and this. Good on you, mate. I'm going to be laughing at myself for the next day.
Yeah, exactly. You should write a book just on the funny stories, buddy.
That's it, Milton. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Duncan. I really appreciate it, mate. It's been great, and we know where to find you. So we'll certainly all be checking it out, and it sounds very exciting, mate. And yeah, I think you've got a fantastic background. So you're bringing a lot of great experience to the fore and a lot of knowledge.
Absolutely. And again, to everyone that's been listening, thank you for listening, and, follow Milton, understand what he's doing, and for all the agents out there, connect with the people, come from the heart, and you can never do wrong.
Yeah. And let's see if we can improve the world, hey?
That's it. One step at a time.
Yeah, exactly, buddy. Thank you very much, Duncan. Talk to you again sometime soon.
Okay. Luru, everyone. Good luck.
Bye, buddy. Cool. Thanks, mate. That was awesome.
No dramas.
Very good. So, yeah, well, that'll go out onto iTunes in a little while. So, yeah, pump it out and see where we go. And I'll let you know.
I hope that was valuable.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I'll let you know when the time comes, and that way you can put it on social media and things like that.
Sure. No problems at all, Milton.
All right, Duncan. Thanks, buddy.
Have a good one, mate. Take it easy.
You too, mate. All the best. Catch ya.
Thank you for listening to Millionaire Agents Secrets. Want 5 times more listings? Go to www.miltonplayer.com for a free cheat sheet.